Jane Goodall's name became inseparable from compassion toward animals, a boundless curiosity about the natural world, and scientific discoveries that transformed how people understand humanity's closest relatives in the animal kingdom. Born Valerie Jane Morris-Goodall on April 3, 1934, in Hampstead, London, she would become known across the globe as Dame Jane Goodall. For over 60 years, she was regarded as the world's foremost expert on chimpanzees, but her impact reached far beyond science. She was a conservationist, an activist, and a symbol of hope whose sense of wonder never faded. When she passed away on October 1, 2025, at the age of 91, she left behind a legacy that bridged the worlds of research, humanitarianism, and environmental protection. At the time of her death, her net worth was estimated at $5 million, earned through her career, writing, lectures, endorsements, and other ventures. Her passion for animals was clear from childhood. Her father, Mortimer, gave her an unusual gift, a toy chimpanzee named Jubilee instead of a teddy bear. Friends worried it would frighten her, but Jane adored it, later crediting Jubilee with inspiring her lifelong devotion to animals. Growing up in Bournemouth, she spent countless hours watching birds and insects with an intensity that revealed both her patience and curiosity. Her mother, Margaret My Family Joseph, a novelist, nurtured her daughter's unusual interests. Margaret became Jane's most steadfast supporter, encouraging her when others doubted her ambitions. Jane longed to visit Africa, and her dream came true in 1957 when she traveled to Kenya to stay with a friend. Fate soon brought her to Louis Leakey, the renowned archaeologist. She had wanted only to meet him to discuss animals, but Leakey saw her potential and hired her as his secretary. He quickly had bigger plans. He believed that studying great apes could shed light on early human ancestors. Before sending her into the field, he arranged for her to study primate behavior and anatomy in London. In July 1960, accompanied by her mother for safety, Jane arrived in Tanganyika, now Tanzania, and began her groundbreaking observations at Gom Stream National Park. Her work revolutionized science. At a time when researchers insisted on giving numbers to animals to maintain objectivity, Jane defied convention by naming the chimpanzees she studied, seeing them as individuals with emotions and personalities. She recorded gestures of affection, hugs, pats, kisses, that revealed social bonds strikingly similar to those in human families. Even more astonishing was her observation of tool use. Watching a chimp named David Greybeard insert a blade of grass into a termite mound to catch insects, she proved that humans were not the only species capable of making and using tools. Leakey famously quipped, "We must now redefine man, redefine tool, or accept chimpanzees as human." Jane also revealed that chimpanzees could be aggressive and violent, engaging in warfare, and even killing infants. Her findings forced science to recognize the full spectrum of chimpanzee behavior, both gentle and brutal. Critics initially dismissed her work as anthropomorphic, but over time her insistence on acknowledging the emotional depth of animals reshaped primatology. With Leakey's support, she entered Cambridge University in 1962 to pursue a doctorate in ethology, despite not having earned a bachelor's degree. Her dissertation, completed in 1966, detailed her early years in GOM and confirmed her as a pioneer in her field. Jane's efforts extended beyond fieldwork. In 1977, she founded the Jane Goodall Institute, which became central to global conservation and research. She later created Roots and Shoots, a youth program that grew to thousands of groups across more than 100 countries, encouraging young people to take part in environmental and humanitarian projects. She also helped establish the Chimpanga Chimpanzee Rehabilitation Center in Congo and initiated the Takare Project to support reforestation and community development around GOM. Her vision linked animal protection with human well-being, insisting that conservation could not succeed without supporting local communities. By the 1980s, Jane had transformed from scientist into global advocate. A turning point came at a 1986 conference in Chicago, where she realized she could no longer remain a quiet observer. From then on, she dedicated herself to conservation, animal welfare, and environmental activism. She became a vegetarian, later vegan, speaking against factory farming, animal testing, and the exploitation of animals. She called for sustainable living and greater respect for all species. In 2002, she was appointed a United Nations Messenger of Peace, recognized for her ability to inspire across cultures and generations. Despite her age, She often traveled up to 300 days a year to deliver lectures and spread her message of hope and responsibility. Her activism was wide-ranging. She campaigned against the confinement of farm animals, supported global reforestation, and even worked with NASA to use satellite imagery for tracking deforestation. She raised awareness about climate change, urging both individuals and governments to act. In 2015, she supported a successful campaign to classify all chimpanzees in the United States, including those in captivity, as endangered. She lent her voice to political leaders who championed environmental causes, such as Caroline Lucas of the UK's Green Party. Through her books, including Reason for Hope and Seeds of Hope, she reached audiences far beyond academia, blending science with spirituality and ethics. Jane's personal life was deeply intertwined with her professional journey. In 1964, she married Dutch wildlife photographer Baron Hugo van Laak, and together they had a son, Hugo Eric Lewis, affectionately called Grub. Their marriage ended in 1974, but the partnership produced stunning wildlife photography and documentaries. A year later, she married Derek Bryson, a Tanzanian politician and national park director whose support helped safeguard her work in Gom. Sadly, he died of cancer in 1980. Jane never remarried, instead devoting her life to her family, her causes, and her tireless mission. She admitted her fondness for dogs, calling them her favorite animals, and she also coped with prosopagnosia, a condition that made it difficult to recognize faces. Though deeply respected in science, Jane also became a cultural icon. She was parodied on The Simpsons, voiced herself in The Wild Thornberrys, and inspired dolls, songs, and cartoons. Gary Larson once poked fun at her in The Far Side, but she embraced the humor and later befriended him. In 2022, LEGO released a Jane Goodall tribute set, while Mattel honored her with a Barbie made from recycled plastic. Awards and honors poured in. Damehood from Queen Elizabeth II, the Kyoto Prize, the Templeton Prize, and the U.S. Presidential Medal of Freedom awarded by Joe Biden in 2025. Statues of her likeness stand around the world, including in New York's Statues for Equality project. Jane described herself as spiritual, believing in a higher power but resisting rigid definitions. She often spoke of mystical moments in nature and saw no conflict between science and faith. To her, nature itself carried a divine presence. She consistently emphasized hope, believing it to be essential for action. For Jane, inspiring young people to believe they could make a difference was as important as her scientific discoveries. Her passing in Los Angeles in October 2025 marked the end of an extraordinary life, but her influence endures. The forests she helped protect, the chimpanzees she studied, the young people she inspired, and the global awareness she raised all stand as living testaments to her work. From a little girl with a toy chimpanzee to a woman who reshaped humanity's view of nature, Jane Goodall embodied the power of passion, patience, and courage. Her story remains a moral call to cherish the delicate web of life that connects all beings, a message that continues to inspire the world. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe.